Hello, everyone. Matt here. For those of you who don't know me, I am a host of a manga podcast called Manga, which is available wherever pods are cast, and obviously on our Instagram page as well. I've been doing a lot more stuff where I'm on camera, and what this is essentially something of me going, oh, I should probably have a YouTube channel. I've done YouTube stuff in the past, as you know, from like Game Boy stuff back in the day of me covering Game Boy games. If you haven't, check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes down below. And yeah, generally speaking, I just wanted to do something in this September experiment, as I'm calling it, where I would just talk to camera, not only to get used to talking to the camera, but also as a means of trying to clear out my TBR, because it's absolutely massive at the moment. A lot of the books are also odds and sods volumes. There's like volume 1 to 7 of Blackjack I can see on my shelf there that I've been wanting to read and going like, well, vertical isn't really a thing anymore. Me doing this on the podcast is going to cost a lot of people a lot of money because it's not easy to track down. And so I was like, well, I need a space for that stuff. I need a space for me to talk about things like Sketchy volumes 3 to 6, because I've had them here for a while and nowhere really to like cover that and like my ongoing feelings on the series as I'm doing on Manga Attack. And yeah, generally speaking, a way for me to just chat for like 5 to 10 minutes to you all in a bit more of a personal way with less editing would hopefully be the goal, so I don't have to do too much to these. And so I've had Fumi Yoshinaga's What Did You Eat Yesterday in mind as the title of this, which is why the series is now called What Did You Read Yesterday? And I will be totally honest, this is a book that admittedly I was like, well, if I'm going to rob the name, I should probably read and talk about as the first episode of this. I picked this up in Comic Express in Albog. Thank you, Teddy, for keeping this aside for me so I could actually do this. And yeah, I had also picked up the Humble bundle that was on sale, I believe the one before Christmas, or the one in the middle of last year that had the first 10 volumes of this. And so it's been on my digital TBR at least for a long while. And so I thought, well, this would be a good excuse to read this series, get into it, and hopefully share it with some folks that may or may know about it. So this is it's a BL manga, first and foremost. It's about a couple who are living in Tokyo. One of them is a lawyer called Shiro, and he is a bit of a cheapskate, is the nice way to describe him, really. He loves going to supermarket sales and everything else, and he's kind of penny pinching and looking at his boyfriend and his expenditure, this guy called Kenji, who is a stylist in a beauty salon, a hairdresser, if you will. And generally the core conceit of this manga is them trying to live together, them trying to figure out how their relationship works in Japanese society. This is a book written in the early 2000s, but from what I understand, still potentially very relevant to gay people living in Japan. And what the book is mainly about is it's a cooking manga. It's a ryori style cooking manga, which means it is focused on the idea of cooking, and a lot of the chapters in this book actually will either end with cooking tips, as this one does, or it will go into actual recipes. And so you'll get a full list of ingredients in a book. But then also part of the story and part of what is going on throughout it will be Shiro preparing the food and kind of giving you a blow by blow of how you cook these traditional Japanese dishes. It's pretty laid back. The art is sometimes absolutely spectacular. I mean, especially when it comes to like the food porn aspects of things. But generally speaking, it is about two people who are trying to figure out their own stuff in the world. And Shiro isn't out to his colleagues. His relationship with his parents seems quite difficult because while they understand that he's gay, they don't quite understand what that means, or at least his dad doesn't. His mum seems to be in a bit of denial all about it all. And then you have Kenji, who is out to his colleagues because he's a stylist. And yeah, generally the opposites attract thing going on with them, and then kind of defining their relationship is a pretty interesting read. this first volume, like I said, the food stuff is very cool. There's also just very, very expressive panels like this going on. It's nice to see the relationship build over the course of it. It's nice that there are a mix of different kinds of stories. It isn't always just focused on them. There's one where Shiro is actually being a lawyer and trying to help a guy who is being domestically abused by his wife, which doesn't sound nice, but it is actually really well written and kind of shows off some of his professional traits, not just his ability to cook and to be a boyfriend. But it also really delves into a lot of their life and a lot of their goings on. Generally speaking, it's a pretty easy read. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm going to crack into the rest of the 10 volumes I have. It is still ongoing, believe it or not. It's a very, very long running series. And I'm looking forward to reading more of it. Anyways, that is pretty much it, folks. That is a taster of what is to come in this series. Now that I have covered What Did You Eat Yesterday, I can quite happily nick its name and say this is called What Did You Read Yesterday? And I'll be back tomorrow with something probably entirely different that may or may not involve zombies. I haven't quite decided yet. The world is my oyster. Like I said, I think my TBR is almost 200 books, ashamedly, at the moment. So there's a lot to choose from. So if there's anything in particular you would like me to read, let me know in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed the format of this video, that would also be great to hear as well. Until tomorrow, though, folks, where I'll be back with another book, be sure, as always, to read on. Take care. Bye-bye.